All right, let's dive into it. Today, we are taking a deep look at one of the most legendary, high-risk, high-reward character builds in all of old-school RuneScape, the Pure. This is a path of absolute, unadulterated power, but it's defined by one critical sacrifice. Let's break down what makes this build so incredibly feared.
So, picture this. You step into the wilderness, and your opponent takes one look at your combat level and just smirks. They think they've got an easy kill, and then bam! Out of nowhere, you unleash damage that should be completely impossible for someone at your level. That right there is the magic of the Pure. It's the ultimate master of asymmetric warfare.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll get into the whole glass cannon concept. Then we'll talk about how you actually forge one of these characters. After that, we'll see how they totally dominate in player versus player combat, how they can even conquer bosses, and finally, we'll look at the path to true mastery.
Okay, first things first. What's the big idea behind this build? Honestly, it all boils down to a really simple, kind of brutal trade-off. You give up basically all of your defenses to gain absolutely unparalleled offensive power.
A Pure is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a character purely focused on one thing and one thing only: damage. See, by intentionally keeping your defense skill at its absolute rock bottom, you kind of game the system. The combat level formula works in your favor, and you end up getting matched against opponents who are just not ready for the kind of firepower you're bringing.
And this is the most important number in this entire guide. 1. Just 1. This is the sacrifice. It's the core of the entire build. What it means is that pretty much every single attack that comes your way, yeah, it's going to hit. There's no armor that can really save you. Your survival depends entirely on your skill, not your stats.
But what do you get in return for that insane fragility? You get this: 99 strength. This is where that devastating, jaw-dropping power comes from. Strength is what determines your max hit, and let me tell you, at 99, your hits are fight-ending. This is the stat that makes people's blood run cold. You pack all of that power into a combat level of around 95. Now think about that. A fully maxed out main account is level 126. That massive difference, that's your playground. You punch so far above your weight class, and honestly, that's the whole point. So you're sold on the idea. How do you actually build this monster? Well, it's a long, very precise journey. It's all about training and gearing up, and one wrong click can literally ruin the entire character forever. So, let's look at the path. Okay, your weapon choice is absolutely critical for training efficiently. You start out humbly, with your basic scimitars, but every single tier up is a major milestone. I mean, that feeling when you finally hit 60 attack and can wield the dragon scimitar? It's huge. That's when your damage output gets truly insane.
And here's how you're going to get those levels. Yeah, the grind starts with the classics. Chickens and cows, we've all been there, but you'll quickly move on to way more efficient, AFK-friendly monsters like rock crabs. The whole journey really culminates in the Nightmare Zone, which is an activity that lets you do almost completely automated training. It just makes that long road to 99 so much more manageable.
Now, gear is every bit as important as your stats. And this ring perfectly illustrates the Pure philosophy. The Berserker's Ring, once it's imbued, gives you a massive +8 strength bonus with zero, and I mean zero, defense requirement. Every single piece of gear you wear has to follow this one simple rule: maximize offense, completely ignore defense. This ring isn't just a suggestion, it is non-negotiable for any serious Pure.
Okay, now we get to the really fun part. You've put in the hours, you've painstakingly built your glass cannon. It is time to see what this thing can actually do against other players. In PvP, it is all about shock and awe. Your entire strategy, your entire reason for being, revolves around ending the fight before your opponent can even process what is happening. You are designed for one thing: burst damage, to overwhelm and to eliminate threats in just a matter of seconds.
Succeeding as a Pure means living on a knife's edge. On one hand, you have this incredible strength, this massive, totally unexpected damage. But that power comes at a steep price. You are so fragile that one tiny mistake, just a moment of bad food management, can mean you're instantly dead. Every single fight is a high-stakes gamble, where you're betting that your offense can win before your lack of defense loses.
Success in PvP really comes down to mastering these tactics. You never, ever want a long, drawn-out fight. So you spec dump early. You unleash your most powerful special attacks right at the start to create immediate, overwhelming pressure. You use your prayers, not just for protection, but as a weapon with smite to drain their resources. And you have to meticulously manage your health, because you are always just one big combo away from being sent right back to Lumbridge.
Now, you might think a character with no defense would be totally useless against the game's biggest monsters, but you'd be wrong. Apu's incredible damage output makes it a surprisingly effective, if a bit risky, boss killer. Let's see how that works.
This quote really just sums it up perfectly. You are not there to tank hits. You're a surgical instrument of pure damage. Your defense is killing the boss so fast that it doesn't get a chance to kill you. It is a race against the clock every single time.
And you know, the build is surprisingly versatile. It can take on these complex mechanical bosses like Zular and Vorkoth that require a ton of prayer switching and precise movement, but it can also handle the classic, straightforward fights like the King Black Dragon. The common thread here is that your insane damage per second shortens these fights dramatically, which is what makes them doable even with just one defense.
So you've mastered the basics. What is it that separates a good Pure from a truly legendary one? Well, it's all about avoiding those common, soul-crushing mistakes and internalizing the pro-level strategies that really give you an edge.
Building a Pure is like walking a tightrope. The absolute most devastating mistake you can make is accidentally gaining a single point of defense experience. That one click will permanently ruin the build. But there are other dangers too, like messing up your hit points level and changing your combat bracket, or just going into a fight unprepared. Seriously, preparation is everything.
To really, truly succeed, you have to think differently than a normal player. Prayer isn't just a buff, it's your armor. Movement isn't just for getting around, it is your shield. You have to master your spec weapons to know that perfect moment to strike. And you gotta use those efficient training methods like the Nightmare Zone to get your stats maxed out.
And that, right there, is the essence of the One Defense Pure. It's a full commitment to a high-skill, high-risk playstyle that offers one of the most thrilling experiences you can have in old-school RuneScape. It's the definition of a glass cannon. So the only question left is, now that you know the path, are you ready to trade your armor for absolute power?